Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Game Changer. This is indeed the 90th annual Oscar review. I am indeed Nate the Effing Great, being joined here by, well, glory, glory to Victorious. Glory, glory to Victorious. Glory, glory to the victorious. Victory Bell marches on. Yes, the lovely Victory Bell, two-time Academy Award winner, is here. How are you doing today?
I love how you say that. I'm like, what? Some people didn't know. But, I'm having a great time. I'm excited. I had fun at the Oscar party that we had. And I know you had fun, so even though you don't know yet, I
I think I knew that I had fun. I think I just had a little too much fun. And for those of you that didn't know, we actually had to go from Facebook to YouTube because around the 5-minute marker, I think it was, during Jimmy Kimmel's opening monologue, Facebook said, well, we're hearing that you are listening to something that shouldn't be broadcasted on here. So I'm like, all right, fine, we'll go to YouTube. They're a little less, nitpicky about it. And yeah, it was still a lot of fun. So, for the most part, I remember, I'm like, okay, this was actually pretty good. So, we're going to talk about the Oscars. We're going to, of course, talk about the winners and some of the losers. We're going to give our thoughts on the general event itself, some of the performances, yada, yada, yada. We'll definitely get more into that. So, basically, let's go through, the fun. Oh.
The weird thing about what happened at the Oscars, the last thing that was supposed to happen was you were supposed to take a shot, but your alcohol was all gone already.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah, I basically had to use up all of my alcohol. I was very surprised on how much.
You, right? It's not like you wanted to or drank it all beforehand.
All right. Well, that's fair. So, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to definitely keep you informed about the actual punishment that will be for me because I went through that alcohol, and I think that was more fun for me than it was a punishment. So we'll definitely be letting you guys know what I'm going to be punished for in the next few weeks. But again, let's get right into the Oscars. So final tally for most of the awards here. I'm actually looking on the Wikipedia page. There's actually 4 films that actually got 2 awards. Blade Runner 2049, Coco, Darkest Hour, and 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. With 3 awards, Dunkirk was in second, and number 1, and it kind of gave away with the picture on our podcast here, was indeed 4 with The Shape of Water. So let's go right into a couple of these. You were on quite a roll throughout the show, and 2 of which you actually called were supporting actor and best actress for the 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, because the winners for those were, I gotta pull up the names, I think it was Sam Rockwell and Frances McDormand.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
Well,
wait, what?
No, I was stating the fact that you called those 2 right there and there.
I did want Sally Hawkins though, but I remember when they were discussing the best actress, I did tell you multiple times. I'm like, I know that I'm wrong. I know it's going to be Frances McDormand or McDormand, whatever. And we were both. You were like, no, it's going to be Sally. You chose Sally too, so you really wanted it to be Sally. And I was like, sadly, I think we're wrong. And sure enough, we were wrong.
Yeah, I wanted a lot of things that night, and I got utterly just wrecked.
You got once, and I feel like getting that once was a win. That's screenplay. That's a big deal. That was the first time Jordan Peele, an African American guy, won it, and also it was like his first Oscars ever. So it's pretty intense.
Yeah, I was actually looking at some of the notes there. I believe that they said he was actually only the 5th African American to actually be nominated for that certain role, but he's only the first to actually get the award for that Best Original Screenplay. And like I said, this guy came from being a sketch comedy guy to just an Academy Award winning director, and very well deserved. Like I said, I'm very happy that he at least got one. That was the one thing I was probably just overly joyous about. It's like, yes, Get Out can say it's won an Academy Award. I'm okay with this. Jordan Peele gets an Academy Award. I am happy with this. It's just all is right with the world, somewhat, as far as that night goes. Just absolutely wonderful.
Yes, I was really excited.
Try to look at some of the other things that we had in here. As I mentioned, Coco got 2 victories. One for Best Animated Feature Film. That was a given, because there was no way that Boss Baby or Fernandez was going to win. Thank God. Like I said, if Fernandez would have won, I would have stormed out of that room and be like, no, John Cena does not need to have an Academy Award. But it would have just gone to Carlos. I don't care. Cena's name is still in that movie. Don't give him that honor. I really do not need to see that. And, of course, the other one was for Best Original Song for Remember Me, and it was probably one of the best performances of the night.
Yeah, it was a little more lively. I did hear from a few people that they felt like the Oscars was relatively boring. They're like, well, I thought the songs could have been better, too. They're like, the songs seemed like they were good, but the performances were kind of flat, and like people just got up there and stood on stage. And I was like, I didn't notice that, but when you say it, yeah, I guess they kind of did. Like even with the Greatest Showman song, I mean, they had a whole dance like during the movie. I was thinking they would be dancing and bring out the other maybe cast members, like you said, and instead they just had people legit just stand up there. And I got the idea behind it, like, great idea, but yeah, it was kind of boring for your audience.
Yeah, I think considering we watched the Oscars last year when it came to the musical performances, I remember, I think they just went right into it with Justin Timberlake's song, and everybody was, just dancing up there, just going crazy, doing things. But then, you followed up with songs like Moana's How Far I'll Go, even the 2 songs from La La Land. Yep. Was it? I'm trying to think. I feel like there was another song other than that I might be missing.
I kind of think there was 2, but I don't think so, because that would have been a 4. But usually there is just like 4. But I don't know. Maybe there was another one. But they all seemed at least like pretty kind of upbeat, except the Stars one that John Legend sang.
Right.
That was it was still emotional and good. And he was playing the piano and stuff. Maybe you kind of like think about things. But
well, I think another thing that also helped those performances last year was the fact that even like a song like How Far I'll Go, they at least try to add a little bit of color to it. They made it, bright and presentable, where people could actually just feel like, oh, this is nice. Oh, this music's beautiful. And, obviously had one little miscue, but that was because of the ribbon basically hitting the singer in the face. But other than that, yeah, it felt like a lot of the songs last year, they were more upbeat. They were able to just get everybody up, and that was because of the presentation. Now, compare that to this year, like you said, it felt very meh, really. I mean, the songs were still really good. Don't get us wrong. We're not trying to say like the songs this year were complete trash. No. It's just that there was something missing there.
Yeah, like even the Remember Me song, the performance to me was a little flat. Like as I was saying, like Miguel, I was like, he has such a good voice and all. It sounds very quiet, very quiet, and blah 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 blah. And like you were like, what is he saying in between? I hear the Remember Me part, but what the heck is he saying? I can't hear him. Like, and then when the woman was singing, which I sadly don't know who she was, but she was at least a little louder, but he had all the best lines, like, at all parts, and like that was where we were supposed to get into it. And I mean, in Coco, if you see Coco, like, it's super colorful and super like party, like, yay, let's have a party and remember me. And there it was more like kind of like me singing to you. Like, that's what I felt like they were doing. And I was like, I don't think, like, if you just have done a performance with a guitar and had dancers around you, it would have been more fun. And instead, like, they were, like, singing Locking Eyes. I'm like, I don't think it's that much of a love song between two people. I think the movie was trying to make it a family. Like, remember me as a person, remember my spirit, remember my happiness. And instead they were like, remember me, babe, remember me. And you're like, that's not the song even. That's not the movie. That's not what the movie was doing. But, yeah, I think that if they stayed... I really like when the Oscars have their best pictures, like, have a second, like, you know how they'll present the best pictures and they'll have them all, like, in, like, columns, and then throughout the show they'll, like, highlight one of the best pictures, and, like, it'll be like, whoa, like, we're in the movie right now. Or, like, sometimes the stars, like Jimmy Kimmel, would actually be like, holy crap, I'm in Dunkirk, what am I gonna do? Like, cute things to really promote their best pictures, and they didn't do that at all. And I think they lacked with the songs then too, because the songs didn't really get us into the best pictures or the movies that they were representing. And it's all about the movies. I know the songs have an award, but it's like, they wouldn't be awarded, like, they would go to the Grammys if they won just because they're songs. They won because they were in great movies too. So, I don't know.
Right. One of the things that you definitely hit on the head was Jimmy Kimmel. It definitely seemed like this time around, he was definitely a little more, I think, serious when it came to what he was doing. I mean, there were some parts you could definitely tell he was trying to be funny, but compared to last year, I felt like he was a little bit more, like, a little more tense, I guess I could say, where I think he was really focusing on trying to make sure that everything goes well, that nothing goes wrong like last year. With last year, you saw him, he was having more fun. He was just joking around with people. It seemed like he was definitely, more laid back, enjoying his time there. But it felt like with this year, he was more about business, except for times when he could actually, be entertaining. That's where you saw him kind of lighten up a bit and just have at it. But other than that, I felt like there was just something missing again with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, I personally, like, he's not my favorite host ever. Like, I really enjoy when they have someone who's more of a comedian do it. Like, I know that he is considered a comedian, but I mean, like, for me, I loved when Jimmy Fallon did stuff. I like when they're more comedian-based, less of a late-night talk show on the channel that it's being hosted on. I get it, because, that's our guy. After the Oscars, I want you to watch him. But, yeah, I felt the same way. It's not like he did a bad job. I was just like, yeah, I wasn't, like, laughing. I was like, huh. Like, it was, they were funny, they were witty. I liked that they were making fun of the Oscars last year. I think that in general, I think a lot of people don't like when anything gets too political in the entertainment business, and I think he did a really good job of keeping it level. He made some jokes that were like, that was funny, but it wasn't like joke, like, in your face, I'm going to attack somebody in politics.
Right.
I feel like we were like, oh, that was a funny joke. It was good. It was presented well. I remember when, I think it was the Coco performance, when the guy was like, the guy who was like the announcer, like, came out and he was like, there will be a wall here. And then everybody's like quiet. Like,
oh, yeah. I think I do.
Joke, or was that like, and then he was like, and he kept going because nobody laughed, and like, that was the audience that would laugh at a wall joke, but he sucked at presenting it. It wasn't Jimmy Kimmel, but I'm just saying, they needed, like, nobody really had their, like, mojo going. I don't know, maybe the audience was too serious. I don't know. But I do have to say, one thing I thought was really cool that Jimmy Kimmel did, I did like the going into the other theater and bringing some people to the other theater and, like, surprising them. But I don't like when stuff like that takes too long, because it kind of gets me out of the whole process of the Oscars. I'm like, that's a cool idea, but it needs to take only one segment of your time. Like, I don't want 2 to 3 segments in that theater. I want, like, haha, look at, we surprised these people. They had a good time at the Wrinkle of Time because we came to, back to you guys at the Oscars. It's not, okay, dude, now present one of the presenters. And the dude was like, okay, I will try to read. Like, no, it was cute, it was fun, but I just don't think he had his timings down. I think everybody was more worried about the whole, like, time of the Oscars. Like, I mean, he did that joke, but obviously it was a joke, but it wasn't funny. Like, it was just like I said, it was just like, and they'll win a jet ski. Like, if you think about how much time that actually took out of his monologue performance, like, he could have thrown in like 7 to 9 more, like, punchlines instead of having the Price is Right jet ski and a Hawaii trip or whatever, Lake Havana, whatever it was. I thought they were goofy, but they weren't funny. Like, they were like,
Well, I think that also when they tried doing that joke at the beginning where, like, everybody's going to get timed because, that way they can find out, this fastest person is going to end up winning the jet ski or the trip and blah, blah, blah. And there were some people that were latching onto the jokes like, well, I'm going to try and make this fast so that way I can win the jet ski. That way I can do this and blah, blah, blah. Some people hung on to that joke, and I thought that was still very cool. But after a while, the commitment to that just kind of just fizzled out, and they're just like, whatever.
Well, I don't like when a joke strings on too long. To me, it's like you killed it. Like, you can't keep stringing a joke because you literally will kill it. Like, I stabbed it so many times to put this string in there that it, like, fizzled out and died. Which I thought like you said, like, it was a good way for people to come up and have something to say instantly. Like, all right, I want to get this jet ski. I thank you, everybody. Bye. But I just wish that he could have done more in the time where he had Helen Mirren, like be like, this is a jet ski. Look at this. I'm presenting it like a award person on The Price is Right. And I was like, okay, come on, we can do more. But yeah.
I think that, one thing that could have probably helped too is if they would have had a little more fun with the awards. And like you said, one thing that could have been awesome is if they highlighted quite a bit of the Best Picture things. And I think what would be really cool is if, every now and then they actually not only showed maybe like stuff from the movie, but also maybe even have like little skits here, because why I bring this up is that I think it would be kind of funny if they actually did something like from Dunkirk. And since she was there at the Oscar Awards, which surprised I think both of us actually have just them basically saying like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And just Gal Gadot just comes in as Wonder Woman, and she just says, "Just leave it to me." She just flies right out. It's like
that would have been hilarious. It would have been good, and you would have been like, "That's awesome. That's a way to connect the movies." There were so many war movies. They definitely could have done something like that. Obviously, her war was a little different. She was in World War I, but it would have been great. I would have enjoyed that. We would have laughed.
I would have also loved it if one of them would have just like, is she supposed to be in this movie? It's like, no, she really did deserve better though. Just have like one of those parts where somebody just says, basically makes a joke saying like, yeah, she deserved to be in a part of this. Just where it's like, you're not taking a full-fledged shot at the Academy Awards, but one of the things where it's just kind of like, I think people would have loved it if they were in it. So
yeah. Just throwing in some of the, like, if you are doing the Oscars for the audience, not always just for the Academy and the people getting, awarded, which, I mean, that's why they're on TV, right? Like, you really are trying to entertain the masses and get money from the Oscars through advertising. And if it was down 16%, which we talked about it was, like, you got to think, what would the people want? And throwing some of these big like movies that are represented and accidentally putting like a superhero or some star that is really popping right now, like people would have totally enjoyed that. Yeah, I think that would have been a great idea.
I think one of the first things I remember is that it did get kind of random with a lot of the stuff that they did, especially with the presenters. You mentioned the whole, presenter who talked about, at the wall before, Remember Me from Coco. First thing I just remember was with Viola Davis, and we both just looked at each other like, what's going on here? Because we hear Soul Bossa Nova from Austin Powers playing, and we're just expecting, like, is Mike Myers going to be coming out here, or what exactly was it? Oh, it's a classical music. Still, come on. I'm waiting for, like, Mike Myers to just pop up and just be like, yeah, baby, oh, behave.
Right, right.
It just seemed a little off-fitting. No disrespect to Viola Davis. It's always great seeing her. It just was one of those songs that was just like, it's classical, but at the same time, I think it's one of those songs that just did not fit the Oscars whatsoever, unless Mike Myers was actually going to come out.
Right? No, not at all. Like, and also, I'm just going to throw this out there because I was complaining the whole time.
Oh, God.
The wardrobes were not, like, to me, I didn't watch the e-fashion shows throughout the week, but I do want to see who got best dressed. I would pick, and again, this sounds awful, if it's already up, it's definitely already up. I think Allison Janney, the winner of Best Supporting Actress from I, Tonya, she rocked it. It was classy. She had cape sleeves. You know I love my cape sleeves. But she looked fantastic. And I don't know how old she is, but she was rocking it. And then some people were like Selma Hayek, I think I would like to be a chandelier and wear giant, weird chandelier items on my dress. Like, what? What are you doing? And it was like a light purple. And then Viola Davis is like sequence bright highlighter pink. I was like, what are you doing? Like, Viola Davis usually rocks her wardrobe. And I didn't even know it was her. I think we both were like, who is that walking out? Because one, it was the Mike Myers music. And then a highlighter pink sequence dress. We're like, who is that? And they went to her face finally when she was talking. And we're like, oh my God, it's Viola Davis. What happened? Like, she didn't look bad. Like, her face did not look bad, and her body was rocking. But, like, what is the pink highlighter sequence dress at the classiest, most honorable award show for your craft? You decide to go to Vegas? I don't know. Like, what is that? And a lot of the dresses there were like, ugh. I like Taraji P. Henson's dress, too, with the cutaway, the high slit, and it was classy, but also still, like, fun and adventurous like she is. But I was just noticing, like, and remember that guy who walked up? I forget what award it was, but his suit coat was a 3/4 sleeve. Like, he did 3/4 sleeve suit coat, and then the white undershirt was showing. And I was like, I give up. Who let him do that? Like, am I talking about him? Yes. If that was his goal, to make the fashion people hate him, he did a great job. But no, you are not allowed to have a 3/4 sleeve suit, coat, blazer, whatever you want to call it. It's not okay. So for me, the fashion was really off. I really like Nicole Kidman's dress though too, the blue. Ooh, loved it. But I like classy and being a little adventurous, not sequins, diamonds dripping all over my boobs like Selma Hayek. She has a great body too. That's why it's like, why are you doing that? Like, both of them. Yeah.
I think one of the other things that you mentioned when we were talking, when you were talking around the topic of fashion, was that there were a lot of people that definitely had a lot of white dresses too. So you basically made it seem like it was like everybody was going to get married in that same night.
Yes. Yeah, they looked like wedding gowns. Could weddings be on my mind right now? Yeah, maybe. But when I saw like the white long like ooh, it's a mermaid wedding dress she's wearing. Like, what? Like, no one would wear. I don't think white for a ball gown is acceptable because you look like you're about to get married. And if you weren't getting married, then that could be an awkward conversation. Like, congratulations! What? I didn't win the Oscar. Oh, I thought you went to the Oscars? I'm so sorry, that is sad. Like, you chose that color on your own? Like no, like, don't wear white. I know, SARS, I don't know how to say her name, the Irish actress for in the category of Best Actress. We're kind of getting in and out here. But I remember her dress was like a light pink, that she is such a skinny and really pretty and fair person that her dress, the form of it, like made her look like a little box. And I was like, she's so skinny, how come it looks like she has a stomach and everything? I'm like, oh, because she didn't get her dress fitted or something? I don't know. I was like, what is going on? It just seemed weird that people weren't like ready or something. Like, but Gail looked great though. Gal Gadot. I thought they were like her name.
Oh my gosh.
Her name, and I kept listening, and I'm like, okay, that's how to say it. That's how to say it. Oh wait, I forgot how to say it already. How do you say it? Gail Gadot. I was like, oh. But yeah, she looked great. I loved that. And she had like kind of a sparkly dress too, but it was silver. Acceptable. I can accept a silver sparkly dress, but a neon pink at the Oscars. If you were at the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards, I would have been like, that's a nice dress.
Right. Probably been the most fashionable one there. Let me ask this. Last year, they did a lot of stuff where they highlighted a lot of like older movies, like some that may have gotten nominated for like Best Picture, visual effects, and blah 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 stuff like that. And of course, Jimmy Kimmel bashing on We Bought a Zoo because Matt Damon was involved in that. And I want to make this a side note. I am very surprised that he did not mention the whole Matt Damon Thor Ragnarok performance, because I would have thought that'd been the nicest thing that Jimmy Kimmel's ever said about Matt Damon, probably ever. But would those segments probably would have made more sense to keep them from, to take them from that show and put them in this show here for the 90th one? I think, in my opinion, it probably would have, because since it is like the 90th year deal, it seems like, anything that's like in the teens or at least in the fives, something like that should at least have some kind of, specialness to it. And basically for me to look on these two and just think, I prefer the 89th one better because of those few spots where they talked about, oh, this was a great movie because they had great cinematography, or they had great camera angles, great actors, and blah, blah, blah. And then go from here, and it's just more like very, I think the word jaded kind of is where it is, because, it's like, oh, we're so excited to see this, and then you go from that to the 90th, and it's just like, well, another year at the Oscars. Okay, then. Would it probably benefited it better?
Well, yeah, like I said, they had those, they showed movies throughout the year, but, like, I felt, and I could be wrong, but, like, I felt that happened right after commercial breaks. And so, like, all of a sudden, I was like, what's going on? What are all these movies? What is going on? What award is next? Is it actress? Are they highlighting actresses? No, there's a guy in there. Oh no, what is going on? Like, I was really thrown off by their montages, and I also didn't really like connect with their montages. I was like, I don't know, like, almost, and this could be my fault, but I feel like 80% of those movies I was kind of like, what is this?
You weren't the only one.
Right, but that's the thing, like, if you're going to do a montage of the 90 years, how about you go from, like, the first 25 years is in this section, the next 25 years is in this section, the next 25 years is in this section, and then the last 15 years, which people will really recognize and really kind of be like, cool, is in the last 4, like, montages. Like, don't have the montage be 2 minutes of different colored films, because it's like, whoa, this one's black and white again, whoa, suddenly it's really dark, oh, it's color, oh, like, let's build through the ages. I'm excited for the 100th year. Hopefully they'll do something like that, like 25 to 25. But I was just, the whole time, I was a little confused. I didn't feel like there was a story being told in this award show, and they had so many opportunities to do so. A lot of the movies connected in one way or the other for Best Picture. Like, I'm back. Like, they were historically going through the times, and they could have definitely done something like that. They could have definitely gave us a time to connect with the best pictures and connect through the 90 years, but they didn't, so it wasn't that good. People left before, like, I know, like, people didn't even know that Jimmy Kimmel went to, the theater next door. They were like, oh, he did that? When did he do that? I was like, oh, like, in between, in the middle, I don't know when, but in the middle, they were like, oh, that sounds like it would have been fun. Like, you stopped watching already? They're like, yeah, it was really boring. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that really did make it hard to really follow this was the fact that they didn't exactly do a good job of presenting, who's, this is up for this one, unless we actually looked on. For me, it was always looking at the cards, be like, oh, well, what's on here? Okay, so that.
Because that was a big deal this year, is that you always knew what was coming up because of the cards, and that was, I bet you anything, 110%, it was intentional. The names on the cards were showing because of what happened. Right.
And, I understand why they did that, because they don't want a repeat of what happened last year. But, again, if they would have just, not been, I feel like the word lazy is a bit strong, but very accurate with their presentation, because it felt like, unless you knew ahead of time that, oh, hey, this person's going to be presenting, then, you wouldn't have known why they were there. It's just like, oh, they're going to bring out these two actresses. What are they doing there? Oh, they're presenting. Oh, okay, what is it for? Gotta look really close there. Okay, it's for, this. And, I don't know. I think it would have just been better if they would have had, stuff where they said, like, oh, coming up next is going to be, best hair and makeup style and best set production and blah, blah, blah. Stuff like that, where instead they just mention, oh, coming up soon, it's going to be Christopher Walken and Matthew McConaughey. And for a while, you and I were just like, where's Matthew McConaughey? They said about like 10, 15 minutes ago that he was coming out. He's not out yet. And then another 15 minutes goes by, and it's just like, oh, he's finally here after the 30 minutes of them saying, oh, coming up next is Matthew McConaughey. It's like, why'd you make us wait that long for him? Literally, it just, come on. If you're promoting him to be coming up, it should be within the next segment or two. It felt like it was just a major. I felt like maybe this year was even more of a mess than last year's, because at least they tried to keep things spot on, and even with that mess up at the end, it left some kind of impression where it was like, okay, this is actually a pretty good Oscar show. But this year, I think that like we said, it just sounds too serious is the deal. But maybe that's not the only issue that was going on here. I think the other issue was predictability. Was that a lot of people knew who was going to get what Oscars. I think the only two Oscars that I was legitimately surprised that got Oscars at all was probably for Blade Runner 2049, because a lot of people were not talking very positively about that movie, and the fact that they got, I think it was Best Visual Effects and Best Sound Mixing, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check here. Best Cinematography. Okay.
They got Best Cinematography?
They got Best Cinematography along with Best Visual Effects.
I chose Dunkirk for cinematography.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think the predictability factor, like we said, was just very, very high with some of these categories, where it's just like, oh, they're going to go with this one. Oh, they're going to go with this one. But there was just that major part of me. It was just like, you know what? I could go with the predictable factor, but I'm going to go with the crazy factor, because you never know. They might just do that. And I thought with last year, where they gave Best Actor to Casey Affleck, that was one of the best examples of like, oh, wow, they they pulled a fast one on us. We honestly thought, it's like, here we go, Ryan Gosling's going to get it. Casey Affleck, what? Oh, okay then. I mean, of course, I was a little upset about it at first, but then it was just like, it still gave me a bit of shock value, and he still put on at least some kind of performance. So I guess I can't hate him entirely. And
Yeah.
and even though I didn't really get best supporting actor, best actress, I could still at least agree with that Sam Rockwell and Frances McDormand, they did a really good job. They really did do a good job of creating characters and making them something very special. Gary Oldman getting best actor for this year, that was awesome, and he just did an absolutely amazing job as Winston Churchill. And as you said, Allison Janine winning for her role in I, Tonya. I mean, this is one of those things where people are going to be like, wait, the person from that TV show with Anna Faris, she won an Academy Award? It's like, yep. Wow. Pretty good. But I think other than that, well, actually, one thing that you did mention is that a lot of comedians were very highlighted during this Academy Awards, actually.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Allison Janney. I mean, Frances can be a comedian. Sam Rockwell definitely comes from a comedic background. Who was and I wouldn't consider Gary Oldman a comedian. But yeah, like most of those people who won the Best Actor came from a comedic background. Obviously, Jordan Peele comes from a comedic background. I feel like, the comedy people who never win anything really got highlighted in this Oscars. So it's kind of fun. It's cool.
I mean, that should be really good to hear that so many comedians are getting recognition for these great roles, but the fact that this Oscar award show was just so very bland that it really sucks that many people are not going to be able to be like, oh, remember when Sam was nominated and he won for Best Supporting Actress, or remember when Allison was this. It's like, yeah, that's great, but a lot of people are going to be like, which Oscar was that? Oh, that was the 90th one. What? The really blandish one where like basically nothing happened? Okay.
Their speeches were good though. They were funny.
Yeah. I will agree with that.
It's like I did this all by myself. It was hilarious, and you're like, this is perfect. Like, this is what I want to hear from someone like her, like to joke around and then obviously double back and thank everybody. But Sam did the same thing. He was like, yeah, I got my love of movies from my dad. Like, I got in trouble at school, and they're like, or he had called my school, and it was time to go. Like, something's wrong with Grandma, and I get in the car. He's like, I'm like, what's wrong with Grandma? He's like, oh, nothing. I just want to go see a movie with you. I was like, what? It was cute. Like, he showed his love for movies. And, like, Frances had, more of a political speech. I expected that. It's kind of hard not to expect that from Frances. Which some people were a little confused about. Like, we don't know if she got her point across. I'm like, yeah, she had all the women stand and clap, and it was cute. But, Gary Oldman, talking about his mom back at home, put the kettle on and everything. It was cute. So the speeches ended up being pretty good, and I don't think anyone kind of, went on and on and on to the point where it was like, go, get out of here, like, get out.
Right. I see what you did there. Nice.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it was a fine Oscars. Again, nothing crazy happened. I mean, when you repeat the host too, like sometimes it's like a lot of times people get excited about the host, and it's like, oh, they're gonna do a great job. And when Jimmy Kimmel is like, I'm doing it again, you're like, aw, I wanted a new person. I like when they do new people. Like, people don't like when it's the same. So, I think next year they're going to have a new host, hopefully, and maybe they'll bring more pizzazz. But
yeah, I personally would love to see Kevin Hart host the Oscars. I think that would just be absolutely fun. Or even do like a co-hosting deal where you have Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson. That would be
funny. That would be funny. I would like that. Or even, like, Dave Chappelle was on there for a little while, and it was really funny. I forget what exactly he said, but I do remember remember they were trying to, like, announce the next people. Like, they were showing the photo, or the camera was on them, and they were, like, waving, and all of a sudden, like, Dave Chappelle's like, hey! Hi, guys! He, like, sticks his head in there and waves. Like, the goofy stuff like that is funny. I like that.
Yeah, I really do like that they definitely do try to bring up a lot of some political stuff that, you know, has been going on. Like, I loved that Chris Rock was a host, I think, about a few years ago, actually. And a lot of people thought that he did a really fantastic job. And one of the things that he mentioned was that Hollywood was a different kind of racist. And I thought to myself, you know, somehow that seems actually very true in a very sad kind of way. But Chris Rock was the only guy that I could see really getting away with that. And I think this year around, I don't think I can say that, you know, Hollywood was being racist at all. I think it was definitely trying to broaden the, you know, movie views, and especially for us, we got to witness quite a few very good movies, two of which definitely were, you know, the top favorites for the Academy Awards, and that being Dunkirk and Shape of Water. Shape of Water, like I said, winning 4 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Dunkirk getting, you know, Best Sound Editing, as well as, I'm trying to remember the other one, I think Best Sound Mixing, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was that was when the guy with the really short sleeves came on, because I think I remember thinking to myself, I think that was a Dunkirk guy that came in for that.
I thought it was the Call Me By Your Name guy.
It might have been, but
I don't really remember, so. Call Me By Your Name, I thought one at least 2 as well, but.
I was going to say, you don't really remember. I hardly remembered half of that night. That might have been either from boredom or just because I had a little too much booze in my system. And if a lot of people look back on our YouTube video, you'll definitely see that I was gone, I think, after, I forget which part I think I was seemingly gone, but.
I think gone before your song came up, dude. Like, you were, like, jamming to it, and I was like, oh, he's getting it over there. But I also held up your bottle, and I was like, guys, this is totally empty. We'll just let him dance over there.
Yeah, I wish we could say more positive things about the Oscars, and we have more to talk about the Oscars, but I think unlike last year, this year was just not as exciting. It was maybe too predictable. It was just not as, you know, hard-hitting as we wanted it to be, because I know that we were definitely going in with just high hopes, like, oh, it's going to be good. Hey, we got Jimmy Kimmel here. We got these Oscar nominations here. But also we mentioned before the Oscars happened that there were so many movies that definitely were left out or just not given the proper dues. Like we mentioned, you know, Beauty and the Beast definitely could have used a lot more recognition for everything that they did, other than costumes and production design. Wonder Woman definitely was one of the best movies of the year, and it definitely should have gotten more than just, you know, Gal Gadot cameo. But I'm willing to at least, you know, accept that a little bit. I mean, there's so many other movies that we would have thought, oh, this could have gotten a nomination. This could have gotten a nomination. So I'm hoping that maybe next year, you know, the Academy will be a little more open to, you know, some of these other movies that are still out there. And we're not saying, you know, completely open to, you know, just superhero movies. No. There are a lot of other movies that can definitely be out there and can be, you know, not superhero related. It can be real life related, stuff like that. No. If there's one thing I definitely want to clear up is that I don't want it to be just, you know, entire Academy Awards where it's just superhero movies. If they did that, okay, actually, now thinking about it, that would actually be kind of cool. I would love to see that, but
just
maybe
free, like, award show, that would be really funny. That would be really funny. But in general, I'm wondering if they're going to do anything for Black Panther.
Oh man.
I kind of feel like they might, and for me, I think it would be awesome because I loved the movie, but I will be a little, like, mad at the same time because of how they snubbed, like, the women stuff that happened the year before that. I'm like, oh, okay, so finally you're recognizing them, but still I'm kind of pissed that you didn't recognize Wonder Woman. So, because, like, they have standards, you know, they have standards of their movies, and a Marvel and DC comic book movie does not fit the standards. Like, they might recognize them for visual effects and stuff like they have before, but maybe even Best Song, I could see Black Panther going the mix for the song, because, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget his name. All right. Kendrick Lamar, maybe? I think it was Kendrick Lamar. He was a big part of the soundtrack for the Black Panther, and I mean, they were well represented at the Oscars this year. Like, they were a lot of presenters and everything, and you saw the fashion and everything. But I would be surprised if they got any nominations that were a little different than the typical action movie.
I think I do remember not only being drunk, but doing like the Wakanda, greeting and farewell like so many times throughout the night, just so that I could do it. Be like, oh, it's the two from Black Panther. Just boom, boom, boom.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. I'll be interested, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And obviously, I am actually open to the idea of doing a lot of these other award shows that are still out there. I mean, you got the People's Choice Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards. They actually happen earlier in the year too. So maybe we'll even do like prediction shows and stuff for that too. Maybe just not solely focus on the Oscars. The Oscars is definitely something good that we could still do because I think that's becoming a tradition for us. But I'm open to the idea of maybe doing some of these other award shows and seeing what they're all about. Maybe there's one where it's just like, oh, hey, maybe we should focus more on this award show, or maybe, hey, we can at least see why they picked this. Oh, that's why. I mean, this one should have won, but still, we could at least be like, at least it was still part of the nominations. But I don't know. You'd be up for that?
Yeah, that sounds fun.
All right, sweet. And also, I wanted to do like a little side note. I definitely noticed that there were a lot of people that liked the photos of the champion of the night, with the wrestling belt. So,
like 75 photos you posted.
It was not 75. Okay, to be fair.
Of me.
Okay, to be fair, it was probably maybe 12, but
Of the same photo.
You have to remember how intoxicated I was, so I'm pushing that button like a Flappy Bird. So
that was funny, but also I was like, oh my gosh.
So for those of you that definitely did like those photos, be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you definitely want to see Victory Belle do a little more, wrestling related photos. I think I would love to see that photo shoot. To be honest, I mean, you got a wrestling belt, so I think that needs to be incorporated in another photo shoot that you have. But who knows? So, with that being said, I think we'll conclude this episode of The Game Changer. Definitely a lot of things to look forward to within the next few weeks, including the build-up to C2E2, which is a Comic-Con convention in Chicago in just a few weeks. It's the weekend of WrestleMania, as a matter of fact, so that's going to be a crazy busy weekend for a lot of people, including myself. But yeah, other than C2E2 happening in a few weeks, Victory Belle, do you have any big events or big conventions that you have to just do a nice little cheap plug for?
Yeah, I'm actually going to also be a part of Indiana Comic Con again. We'll be hosting their costume contest and being there for the weekend. So that's the weekend before C2E2. I will be in Indiana. So it's going to be a weekend after weekend because there also is the C2E2 pre-party, I think, the weekend right before. So the end of March is going to be a lot of costuming events. But yeah, I'm excited to do it. Yay!
I could tell by the enthusiasm in your voice. Well, here's something I think I want to ask about. I know we talked a bit about some special projects that you had coming on this year. Are there anything that your fans on your Facebook fan page can expect possibly within this year, maybe the next couple months?
Well, like I said, I think I've said this, maybe I haven't said this, I am now a fully represented actress in Chicago. So once I get all my new headshots and everything done, I'm hoping to be featured on some sort of Chicago shows, the bigger ones, the Chicago PD, Chicago Fire. I work with an agency now that works with all the actors that do that. So, I'm hoping to really make some strides this year in my acting career. and depending on how that goes, we'll see what I'm doing.
All right, awesome. So definitely keep a lookout for that, you guys. Check her out on her Facebook fan page. Before to follow her on Twitter. Give us a like on our Facebook fan page, facebook.com/changingupthegame. Follow me on Twitter. That's going to do it for this episode. Like I said, lots more to come. Lots more crazy stuff happening within the next few weeks. It's the road to the C2E2, road to WrestleMania. Just a lot of crazy stuff happening. So for Victory Bell, I've been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for listening to this wonderful episode where we talk about the Oscars and try to give it at least a little bit of justice. And in all fairness, it was a little tough, but I think we did it. So that's been another wrap for the edition of the Game Changer. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.